In 1964, a movie came out entitled The Pawnbroker. It's the story of Saul Nazarman, a survivor of the Holocaust. He is living in New York and he runs a pawn shop in one of the most squalid areas of New York in East Harlem. Nazarman is a broken man, a broken-hearted man. He watched as his wife was horribly abused by the Nazis. He watched as his two children were killed by Nazis, as one of his brothers was also killed. He has become hard, embittered, angry, resentful, and any attempt at becoming a friend to him, Saul Nazarman refuses it, rebuffs it, rejects it. A young social worker wants to befriend him and he turns her away. His young assistant by name of Jesus Salazar, he wants to befriend him also, but he rejects Jesus and turns him away. Jesus, over a period of time, has his feelings hurt with Saul, and so in order to get back at him, he arranges for two gang members to come and rob the pawn shop. The gang members come in, ask for the money, and Saul stands between the gang members and the safe, and he refuses to give up the money. And right when one of those gang members is going to shoot Saul, young Jesus steps in front of the gang member and takes the bullet that was intended for Nazarman, Saul Nazarman. Saul Nazarman reaches down, embraces Jesus, and Jesus dies in his arms. And out of that experience, Saul Nazarman realizes that here is someone who actually loved him enough to die for him, and who took the bullet that was intended for him. And then Nazarman begins to think of stories he has heard about a man called Jesus. And Solomon begins to wonder how he can make amends for what he has done and how he can make it up to the people that he has abused and mistreated and of whom he has taken advantage. On the table in front of Saul Nazarman is a spike used for putting paper bills upon. He looks at the spike and he looks at his hand. And he begins moving toward the spike with his hand outstretched. And somehow you just know that he's going to put his hand on that spike and drive that spike through the center of his hand. Closing scene. But we know what he's doing. He's trying to make up for all the sins that he has committed. He's trying to find a measure of forgiveness, not perhaps for anyone else, but just for himself. If I could forgive myself, the difficult thing to do. I recently spoke with a young lady, and she said, I wish I could just learn to forgive myself. And I have shared her sentiments, wishing that there are things for which I could atone, and things for which I could just forgive myself. We need to remember that, as Peter said, Jesus Christ bore himself our sins and made them his own, that we might become the righteousness of God in him. Jesus Christ took my spikes in his hand. I don't have to find the pawnbroker spike and run my hand up on top of it and then run the spike through my hands, because Jesus Christ has already taken the spike in both his hands in my behalf, taken the spikes in his feet in my behalf, wore my crown of thorns, took my spear in his side, took my lashes upon his back. I can forgive myself. You can forgive yourself, because Christ himself has borne our sins and our sorrows. And as we sing, he has made them his very own. He bore our sins to Calvary and suffered and died alone. He's forgiven you. Jesus has forgiven you. And now you can forgive yourself. And this is Don Howell with today's message, and thank you so much for watching.